Now on 1 Hour magazine for the deaf and hard of hearing. See here.
Hello, welcome to See Here. There are around 250,000 people in Britain like me and Clive who can't use an ordinary voice telephone without an interpreter or a lip speaker. Now it's frustrating being unable to contact hearing people even for something as simple as reporting a faulty washing machine or ordering a takeaway meal. But then 18 months ago along came Typetalk, the relay service run by the Royal National Institute for the Deaf and sponsored by British Telecom. And this puts text phone users in touch with hearing people and of course vice versa. It really has been a transformation for me. Before Typetalk, I relied upon my wife or secretary to listen and repeat things that the person on the other end said, and then I would lip read them. But if they weren't there, the telephone didn't exist for me. I simply couldn't use it. But with Typetalk, I can use a telephone every day, just like everybody else.
That's right, Jack, I agree with you. I remember often when I wanted to organise a holiday, I've had to actually go to the travel agent shop and have a limited choice, I think. I'd get the magazines, there were plenty of choice in there, but all of them involved making phone calls. And when Typetalk arrived, it meant I could actually arrange a holiday. If I wanted to go on a diving holiday, I'd get a diving magazine, and pick a holiday there, organise it through Typetalk, and off I'd go. Absolutely marvellous. It really gave me some freedom.
But so far, only a fraction of the people who could benefit from the service have registered to use it. We thought it was time to give you an update on how it works and on the latest developments.
Typetalk is based in Liverpool. When you dial the Typetalk number, your call is picked up by a trained operator at the RNID exchange there. You need to be registered as a Typetalk user and issued with an account number to use the service, or be calling a registered user. Once your call is accepted, then the operator relays your side of the conversation to the hearing person and back, voice or text. I'm actually going to show you what happens when you use Typetalk right here and now in the studio. First you set the CCITT number on your Minicom and then dial the Typetalk number in Liverpool. Although the call is routed through Liverpool, you only pay local charges for a local call. Typetalk costs the same as dialing direct. Now I have to log on with my personal account number. Then I have to tell them the number I want to call. Now they're trying my call, and the operators are trained to handle calls from BSL users for whom English is a second language.
Hello, White City Pizza.
Good evening, this is Typetalk. It's the National Telephone Relay Service for the Deaf. I have a Clive Mason on the line who wants to place an order with you, and he's going to type his order through us, Typetalk. If you hold the line, please, I'll connect your call. He's just beginning to type to me. Hello, this is Clive Mason. Can I order a 4-season, please? Go ahead.
Yep, and would you like a deep pan or a thin?
A deep pan, please. Go ahead.
And where's it to be delivered to?
The Television Centre, Studio 5. Go ahead.
Right, that'll be about 20 minutes.
Great. Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
See, it's as simple as that.
There are 4,500 registered users, so why haven't more people joined the scheme? Well, for a start, many deafened people don't yet realise the benefits of using text, as they may not realise Typetalk is a way of calling hearing people on the phone, and they may not have the contacts in the deaf community to sort of a different world. And Typetalk hasn't yet been publicised all that widely. We know that letters have gone out to everybody on the British Telephone Text Phone Rebate Scheme, but that's only 7,500 users. Now, people may be put off because they have to register and get an account number first, or because the Typetalk exchange can't accept telephones from all text phone machines, but only the ones that use the right electronic language.
But now there's some good news. The scheme started with a preliminary grant of £4 million from BT, which had to last for 3 years. So there were real fears that if there was lots of publicity, demand would grow faster than the service could afford to expand, and the system would jam up or collapse. So not too much was done to promote it. Now, under the terms of BT's new license to trade, which is soon to be signed, Typetalk's future has been guaranteed. BT has agreed to sponsor it with up to £10 million a year from 1996. So the green light is finally on. But you still have to register, and hearing people who want to call you must have the Typetalk phone number. Although this is not a secret, it's not widely publicised. Directory inquiries will tell you it, in fact. As for the technical problem, you do need to have the right text phone, which is switched to CCITT mode to get through. And here's some really good news for owners of Minicom 3s, Vistel 1s and Zycom text phones, which are not compatible with Typetalk. We can now reveal that Mercury Communications, the telecom company, are sponsoring a free swap of your old text phone for a Minicom 5 or Compact, which do work. There's over £100,000 in the kitty, so there's enough money to swap several hundred text phones. And the swap begins tomorrow. So if you're a private individual and you want to join Typetalk and your only text phone is incompatible, just apply to register with Typetalk and you'll be sent details of the free replacement scheme. The phone numbers will be given at the end of the programme.
There's a consumers panel which meets regularly to represent the various types of users of Typetalk. They can put your comments to the service and we'll report from them at a later date and put your views to Brian Bell of Typetalk.
Arthur Smith from Nottingham keeps tropical fish. They help him to adjust between the hectic pace of his work and active social life. Arthur wrote to us, and in true Jim will fix it style, we fixed it for him to meet tropical fish expert, Dr. David Poole.
Which one do you think best for my thing?
You want a plant
Tropical
that's...
fish.
Yeah, for tropical fish, it's best to get a plant that's very hardy, that will grow very quickly. So some of the plants that they've got down here, the very fast-growing ones that will bush out a lot, are ideal.
When I come to a place like this, what should I look for when I buy fish?
Look for fish that are behaving normally, that are up in the water, like the ones in the community tank over here. Make sure that they're searching around for food and all the fins are erect. These fish look very nice when they're very small. The problem is as they get bigger, up to the size that we've got here, they would become very aggressive and would eat any small fish that were present in the aquarium. So they're not ideal to put into most community tanks.
There's no nuts, no plants in this drink. Why?
The reason for that is just the type of fish that are here. These are algae-eating fish from lakes in Africa, and they would eat any plants that you put in with them. So if there were any plants in at one time, the fish have eaten them all.
Well, I've really enjoyed my talk with David Poole. And I've learned a great deal. And I think I'm going to enjoy my hobby even more than I did before now. But I really can't go without buying some more fish, can I? I think I'll buy some swordtails. When I first got the fish, it was just for show, really. But then I found that it was very peaceful. I'd get home from work, I'd be tired, I'd been working hard, I'd be feeling fretful. And I'd sit down here and watch the fish, and it just gave me a feeling of peace, really calmed me down. Now this is from the Sea Angler magazine, and that comes out every month, and I was amazed that once I actually made the front page, look. These are both thornback skate, and they're two of the biggest ones, but I got 8 altogether on that day. And the skipper of the boat's a very good friend of mine. We've had a lot of laughs together, and he goes out from Bradwell in Essex. Darts is Arthur's other great love, and he sets up and runs darts clubs in the Nottingham area for both deaf and hearing people. Now, some people say that deaf people are like dummies, but I've never liked that. If I want something, I go and I get it. If deaf people hold back, they're never going to succeed. They never will. You have to go ahead. If I want something hard enough, I'll work for it. My wife will help by giving me a push and making me go for it. Some deaf people do hold back and they're frightened to do things. They mustn't do that. You have to be brave and go for it. Hearing and deaf people are no different. We've all got 2 arms, 2 legs and 1 head. We're just the same as each other. At work there might be a difference. If it's a noisy environment, a deaf person can just get on with the job and ignore the noise. Hearing people might find it painful. It's great for deaf people. I've worked for this firm for 21 years now, altogether, in three different factories. The first one closed down, I was moved to another one. And while I was there, I was charge hand for 3 years. Then that one closed down and they brought me here. I started off by working in the machine shop, but we lost work there, so they moved me into here. I like working in here with my mates. They're all good friends to me. But the factory here is very, very noisy. It really is terrible for everyone else. It doesn't bother me at all. It's really easy for me. I work on that bench there. And I'm actually leader of that bench. And we all get on very well.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more.
I have a lot of friends here. And we get on well. We talk and have jokes, but I've got more friends outside here. We meet in a pub called the Half Moon, usually.
Don't you come back no more.
Well,
Don't you come back no more.
what you said?
Don't you come back no more.
I didn't understand
Don't
you.
you come back no more.
You can't mean
League champions. Won the league in there.
Won no end, didn't
We
we?
won everything, tell you.
Everything.
Well, that Jack Hancock, he run that league. What I'm on about. That
Must have read about him several times in newspapers. Damon Traffic Warden.
Oh, that one.
yeah, that's him. Yeah. No, I miss darts, I do.
Yeah, you miss it.
Since Arthur's backed up and a lot of us mates have backed up, it's just not the same.
Now this is the Bulwell and Hucknall Aquatic Club. And we meet here every 2 weeks on a Wednesday evening. We get together, we have talks, we have film shows, videos, lectures, and of course open fish shows. Now these are all the different fish being shown, large ones and small ones, and this man is judging them. If you're interested in this as a hobby, you could join a club like this one. And if you're interested in having your own aquarium, the best thing you can do is go to a shop where they'll give you all the help you need. Arthur is keen to hear from you if you're interested in keeping fish. Write to him, care of C here. If, like me, you've got children at school, you'll know already how many changes there have been to the education system in the past 5 years. It's hard keeping up. The latest proposals are just now being debated in Parliament. The new Education Bill prepares the ground for big changes in the way schools are controlled and funded. Under the old system, all the state schools in a county or borough were run by the local education authority, the LEA. Education policy was laid down by an education committee of elected local councillors. Since 1988, the government has been encouraging individual schools to opt out of local authority control, to become grant-maintained schools, which get their money direct from central government. Now, under the bill, these schools will get their money from a new central funding agency, which will get gradually more important in an area as the power of the LEA diminishes. Eventually, the funding agency will take control altogether. So far, only 400 out of 24,000 schools nationally have opted out. But if the scheme takes off, there's bound to be a period of confusion when both authorities are working side by side. This will have a big impact on children with special educational needs, including deaf children, according to the National Deaf Children's Society. For a start, there will be no one body responsible for coordinating special educational provision. And children may suffer from a reduction in support services, like interpreters and specialist teachers, as LEAs get smaller and lose their staff and money to the grant-maintained schools. This really matters now that 90% of deaf children are mainstreamed. There is such concern that a group called the Special Education Consortium has been launched to defend the interests of these children. In the studio is the director of the NDCS, Susan Daniels. Hello.
Hello.
Now, why are you so concerned about these proposals in the bill?
Well, I think the main area of concern is about support services for deaf children. Because again, there's no clarity about the funding or the staffing arrangements. And we need to make sure that at the end of the bill, the support services are safe.
Will it affect the statementing procedure? Will that change compared to what was set up in 1981?
Well, lots of the 1981 Education Act was dropped and replaced by new legislation. In some ways, statementing will remain the same, but LEAs have the responsibility of statementing, but the problem with that is that the funding agency is responsible for the overall provision. So we're concerned about the relationship between the funding agency and the LEAs, and how the parents will know who they should argue their case with. That's the problem.
What about deaf children who are in grant-maintained schools? Will it affect them?
Well, yes. At the moment, legislation is such that if the grant-maintained school is named in the statement, then the child has a right to attend that school. But John Patton, the Secretary of State, said that it would depend on whether the school was selective. Now that means if it is selective, then would the deaf child be allowed to go? And we don't know the answer to that.
So how come that's not clear? Why aren't you clear about that?
Well, because he made a statement in the House of Commons recently, well, last Monday, saying that if the school was selective, there would be a question mark as to whether the deaf child could go there.
So do you think if this bill becomes law, it's going to help parents and give them more choice?
That's an important question, because the government say it will give parents more choice. But really this needs monitoring to see if it actually happens. The important thing to remember is that schools have to publicise their exam results. So effectively, they're working like small businesses and being competitive, which means that parents can look at the school's exam results before deciding which one to send their child to. But the question is, what happens if that school is full? I think if parents are bright and articulate and have bright children, things will be fine. But if they're just average, then they won't really have more choice.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
We'll wait and see the outcome. There'll be more on this topic in December's issue of See Here magazine. Now here's Carol Lee with a dip into the programme's postbag. Over to you, Carol.
Thanks, Clive. In our second programme, Eva Fielding played a clip from a video letter we'd received, which had quite a radical suggestion to make, that See Here should change its name. We are deaf, so the word here should be changed to sign. That's right. I think See Here should change their title to See Sign. We got a mixed response to that idea, fairly evenly balanced in favour and against. For example, Mark from Wiltshire said, "The name See Sign is great. I like it much better, but it only gives an image of deaf people that sign, and I don't think it will be popular with the hard of hearing." On the other hand, Sharon Gamblin of Leamington Spa said, "I think it is great and should not be changed. The word hear is fine because it emphasises that we hear by what we see." Thanks to all who wrote in. See Here will not be changing its name. It's been here for a decade and has a worldwide reputation, not to mention a new magazine. Recently I reported on 2 women with MS who had found it hard to get across how they feel to well-meaning friends. We had a very positive response to this item, 2 from deaf people with MS. Dawn Clark of Thirsk writes, "Please stress in your next feature on MS that not everybody ends up in wheelchairs, and sometimes people go into remission for years. Then hopefully other deaf people newly diagnosed with MS won't be so frightened as I was." I've learned to live life to the full and take each day as it comes, and now I'm expecting our first baby in the new year.
Thanks, Carol. That's all for this week. Don't forget that today is the day for skiing, as the See Here Trisport event takes off around the country. All the venues are on Read Here. CFAX pages 710 to 714. Bye, and don't forget, bend your knees.